Hello, I'm Dr. Garrett Castleberry, Associate Professor and Program Director of Communication, Media, and Ethics. I also serve as the chair of the Adult School of Arts and Sciences. I want to take a couple of minutes to introduce some of the key people that you will be working with as you join us here at MACU and talk about some of the unique opportunities we have to engage with our students and to better serve them as they pursue their online degree with us. And so let me start off by previewing each of the program directors in the Adult School Arts and Sciences. And first, I would mention Trina Arnold. Trina is the program director of our Associate of Arts. She oversees the general education as well as some other key areas, and Trina has been involved in a couple of different capacities at MACU, but she'll be working with those of you that are teaching those general ed courses. And as we know, those sort of threshold classes that students are engaged in or perhaps attempting to complete in an effort to wrap up that associate's. We also have Marvin Akers, who is our program director of criminal justice. Marvin has a career, perhaps several careers in competing areas of military service and law enforcement, and we're blessed to have his lifetime of expertise aiding us and our criminal justice program. As I mentioned before, in a bit of self-introduction, I oversee the Communication, Media, and Ethics program, in addition to my chair duties, and serve as the program director in that capacity. But perhaps most important is our ASAS coordinator. At this time, we are so lucky to have with us Kay Chamberlain-Wardrow, who is going to be fielding much of the communication between our instructors and program directors, and she is just an ace in the hole, as we'd say, and a valued member of our team. I want to pivot, if we can, and talk a little bit about some instructor challenges and look at ways we can maximize the opportunity we have with this unique student body. Anytime we're talking about online education, the settings in which both our students join us and or we interact with our students have limitations, but they also have opportunities. First, let's mention some limitations. Students will come to the table with a number of woes, right? And these include everything from perhaps outside challenges. I mean, working families, or rather working adults, some with families and unique schedules that allow them particular times to engage in content and attempt to work toward degree completion. But we also see students with that struggle with technology in various forms. Sometimes it's access, sometimes it's experience, and perhaps even a combination of both. And so while we do have technical support teams as well as student specialists to aid these students, that front line engagement comes from the instructor in the classroom space. All right. And so we've devised 3 E's that can help each of you maximize that opportunity to engage and connect and help students succeed. All right. And so to tip my hand a little bit, these 3 areas are engage, encourage, and expectations. All right. So let me just tease out what we mean by engage. For those of us that have taught online before, we understand the online course at times can be quite narrow, especially from the student perspective. And we want to enter each classroom setting with that understanding. It might be the student's first time taking an online course, or perhaps they have experienced struggles with it in the past. Part of our mission statement at MACU is certainly putting people before process, and there is what some debate strategists call radical empathy toward how we're approaching student engagement. And so we ask you to keep these things in mind, especially understanding the value of engagement. We can kind of think about engagement along the lines of maybe customer experience. And we've all either been in a restaurant or perhaps some venue where that engagement at a person-to-person level is significant. It plays a heavy role, perhaps in what you order, right? What you tip, and how that experience gets crafted. Is it a positive memory? Is it a negative memory? Do you become a return customer? Do you write them off, right? And go on to a website and then report that negative experience? These are kind of parts of the challenges we navigate every day in the digital age. And we can think of and approach our students in a similar manner. And so certainly engagement is an important area we need to not only think about, but actively practice, right? And make a commitment to serve them in whatever capacity the situation warrants. Let me also mention a word about that second E, encouragement. All right, so if we're actively engaging toward them, then a constructive method of communication is always going to be preferable. Of course, we'll deal with student crises and challenges, but there are opportunities, and we can help craft the strongest possible outcome, the most positive possible outcome, if we're committed to an atmosphere of encouragement and inclusivity with regards to our student body. And finally, that third E is expectations. And so when we're talking about expectations, I want to break down each of what these expectations could look like, and I have a short list that I want to run through for us. All right? So when dealing with our expectations, first, let's think about being present, all right? And what that means to be present in an online classroom. Being present means having an active approach to engaging students in an online space. Hey, we get it. Sometimes it looks a little distant, a little flat. It can be easy to understand the obstacles that we face. But what we want to do is sort of adorn a mindset of overcoming these obstacles. I think there are ways that we can help modify online learning and move it from a one-dimensional interactive space to a two, if not in some ways, three-dimensional space for them. If that third is, let's say, digital, right? But here are some ways that we can be active or present in the classroom. First of all, email, all right? And when students email, our corporate policy is we are trying to respond to that email within 24 hours. Now, there are always some exceptions to this, and certainly it's the case when we have events going on or other obligations. But as a general rule, 24 hours is the modern expectation. Okay, and so for this reason, we do have many contemporary instructors offer out additional forms of emergency contact if students are not hearing back from them in that appropriate amount of time. So if that's a potentiality on your end, we would encourage you to extend the ways in which you can be reached or accessed in an emergency situation. However, please keep in mind, email is our primary means of communication with these students. And it is an effective tool, and it's also a way that we are able to archive for various purposes our communication exchanges. to help the students and support our faculty and staff. But also, you can think about the virtual classroom. Virtual classroom is built into all courses, and depending on where it's located in the course, you could be familiar with that. It's a place where students know to submit questions, inquire about issues or problems they're facing, and ideally, our instructors are right there checking in regularly to be able to engage that in a timely manner. We do have a video conferencing software within Desire to Learn, or D2L, and it is called UCU. I've used UCU a few times myself to bring in guest speakers, where we not only kind of engaged them, right? Had some guest lecture and some interview time, but it allowed students to either join us live or go back and review that video later, because UCU can be digitally stored. It can be archived and exported, and so it's a tool that could serve you in that kind of archival purposes. Perhaps you're making a digital lecture or something of that effect, or you could simply use it as a live mechanism to conference with students. And I do think it's a great tool and resource for that. More recently, we have introduced Video Note, which is a different kind of video production mechanism that's equally effective. Video Note, the fun part about it is it challenges us as much as it can help encourage students. Video Note is limited to 3 minutes, and becomes an opportunity to craft short messages. And in this sort of digital or social media age, our online users are used to brevity, and so we can provide that for them in the form of Video Note. In talking about expectations, the second thing that comes to mind is that we're interactive on the discussion boards. Now, discussion boards are one of the oldest mechanisms of online education. And in fact, in some ways, in some upper level areas, like communication, for example, we have been working on hybridized ways to enhance these discussion interactions. But keep in mind that the discussion board is one of the primary mechanisms throughout the general ed courses, and so many of you will be tasked with that. One way to promote activity would be through a week 1 goal. And I would take this time to present a challenge to everyone that in week 1 of your course, try to make it a commitment to reach out or engage every active student in there that is posting on the discussion board. This sets a high bar for the students, and it helps move things along and kind of cultivate everyone. One of the great challenges that we encounter is students that drop off due to a lack of participation. And it is understood that if we engage them early enough, we're more likely to retain their commitment to the course, which ultimately helps them academically, financially, and hopefully in all other areas, right? All right, so we can also think about utilizing the newsfeed on the front page of every D2L section. The newsfeed is your opportunity to put out important information, and we would encourage you to make active use of it. The average instructor should be posting 1 to 2 times per week. And think of this yet again, another space where you can help co-create information, knowledge sharing, facilitate learning, and you're not only giving the students that feedback that's necessary, that accountability, whether it's posting deadlines and so on, but you could also use that space for spiritual encouragement or additional contact information, emergency adjustments, the regular rudimentary announcements, or think about it as a place to drop in supplemental materials, all right? The kinds of things that go above and beyond what they're already getting out of that course experience. And so the newsfeed can provide that service for us. It's a built-in area we champion at MacU. And third, I want to talk about feedback. All right. Feedback is essential, but I want to break it into two short categories: timely feedback and quality feedback. All right. Timely feedback, as I referenced earlier, might be in the form of that quick response email, right? As soon as you see it, responding to it, at least with the intent to follow up later in greater detail. But also, we have a grading policy given our accelerated cycle. Many courses at MacU in the online college run at an accelerated pace of 5, 6, maybe 8 weeks. And so we need to be active and responsive given those short timelines. And let's not forget, we have an active student body that is splintered with careers, with other outside obligations. And so we're really trying to work together to make this a successful experience. And so grading efficiency is necessary. Our grading policy is that you're turning around grades with feedback by day 5 of the next week. So it's a 5-day turnaround from the start point of each new week. And also being consistent with your office hours. You're charged with posting particular office hours, and we hold you to keeping those so that students have a maximum experience. We want to set the bar high, as I articulated earlier, and continue to actively look for ways where students can improve, but also instructors can. So let me talk for a second about quality and what we mean there. When we're giving students feedback, be specific. All right. Being specific gets them closer to where they should be. All right. Be constructive. It is hard to receive criticism. I think we all identify with that, but we also understand we don't grow without it sometimes. But crafting the most constructive criticism possible is going to go further and be absorbed sooner than if we're simply lining up the list of problems, right, or fouls that students are committing. So be specific, be constructive, and look for ways to challenge students. They need challenging. It's healthy for us to challenge them. And I think if they can identify with that kind of healthy mode of academic and personal competition, then it gives them goals to achieve and pushes them through to the next level, to the course, and ideally through degree completion. All right, and so ways we can help improve include early accountability, right? Perhaps providing correct examples when we're giving students feedback, and ultimately having high expectations. We have high expectations for our students. We have high expectations for our instructors. And it is also important that we understand we have high expectations for our program directors, our faculty, and our staff that help us facilitate these degree programs. And so ongoing issues and opportunities will be discussed and addressed in our ASAS video newsletter. All right. And this video newsletter is something that we produce for our faculty body. We produce it up to 2 or even 4 times a year. It's an opportunity to engage instructor questions. All right. It's an opportunity to introduce new tools. And ultimately, it's a place where we create new challenges, because we're all lifelong learners, actively seeking ways to improve. And we hope that you'll be excited and challenged and gain from the opportunity to serve with us here in the Adult School of Arts and Sciences at Mid-America Christian University. Thank you for listening.